Good morning to you all. This is Mr. Rao. So today I come up with a very interesting and beautiful chapter, the concept of this chapter, human health and diseases. So as a part of the previous sessions in this class, actually I explained detailedly the diseases caused by the various types of the pathogens. Various types of pathogens on the respective diseases caused by these variety of the pathogens. There we studied in the earlier sessions, like here the diseases caused by the bacteria, the diseases caused by the protozoan, the diseases caused by viruses, thereafter the diseases, they're all caused by even the helminthic worms also. Now today is the class, particularly I am going to focus on the diseases that are all caused by the fungi. Right? And what is actually we call the study of the fungi. The fungi is one kind of actually the microorganism, and here this is also actually the multicellular microorganisms. And there we studied in the first PU the study of the fungi. What do we call the branch of the science? Can any one of you answer to my question? What do we call the study of the fungi? And we study about the fungi, such a branch of the science is known as mycology. Just like virology is the study about the virus, bacteriology is the study about the bacteria. In the same way, if you study about the fungi, then that branch of science is known as mycology. Whereas, if you study the diseases that are all caused by this fungi, then it is known as a medical mycology. Is the point clear? The diseases that are all caused by the fungi, if you study about all of them, this we call it as the medical mycology. Now, the human disease that is caused by this fungi is actually we are about to study, which is nothing but the ringworm or the Tenia. Actually, the name for this, the ringworm, or we call it as the Tenia. The very interesting part that we may have the interesting part related to the name assigned to that. Actually, this disease is caused by the fungi, just as I said now. But if you see the name, this is actually known as ringworm. You know, the worm. Actually, worms are helminthic parasites, but not the fungi. Then why the name is assigned to that? In olden age, people believed that the dry ring that appears on the skin consists of the worms. That is the reason why the name ringworm or Tenia is given to that. Then whenever the person is suffering from this ringworm or Tenia, actually he will have got a dry scaly here skin, or the lesions are present on the skin in a circular form. By the time the people believed that within that dry rings, scaly rings present on the skin consist of the worms, but they don't know actually by the time this is caused by the fungi. That is the reason why the name here ringworm or the Tenia is assigned to that, right? And just like here all other organisms, and there is also here the name of the organism is there which causes the disease. That name of the organism is here fungi, and that too there are all three varieties of the genera are there which causes this one. Among them, the first one is known as microsporum. Is not actually the species name of the fungi, it is actually the genus name of the fungi that causes this disease. But this particularly attack two important parts of your body. One is nothing but your skin, whereas the second one is the hair. Whereas this genera of the fungi, it doesn't here infect your nails. It is an important part. Here one is your hair and the second one is your skin. Whereas the nails are not infected by this genera of the fungi. Whereas the second one is here trichophyton is the second genera. Trichophyton. Interesting part. This is a one which infect the three parts like your hair, the skin as well as nails. The three will be get infected by this actually the genera of the fungi. Whereas coming to the third one, it includes epidermophyton. And interesting point related to this it affects here the skin as well as the nails, whereas the hair of the person will not be get infected. Here hair doesn't mean the hair actually. Here it includes the scalp present on the cranium or on the skull. Whatever the scalp skin area is present, that will be get infected by this fungi. So these are all the three varieties of the genera that causes this disease. Whereas coming to this Tenia or else the ringworm is very common human disease. Very frequently the human beings will get infection because of this fungi or this disease known as the ringworm. Whereas the mode of infection, how does this actually disease causing the fungi get transferred to the healthy one and cause infections in us? The first and foremost thing, this is actually present within the soil. And whenever we the people will come into contact with the soil, then the fungi will get transferred to us and cause the infections. Then in which time generally we do go and come into contact with that. When you walk with a bare leg in a soil, generally there is a chance of here coming into contact with the soil as well as the fungi. Meanwhile, the children like us, when you go on playing within the soil, and here the people, those who works in the agricultural fields and even in the soil, right, they may come into contact with the soil. So it finally leads to here contact with the fungi, right? It may cause the infection in us, contact with the soil. And this is one type of here mode of infection. But the second type, generally when you come into contact either directly or indirectly with the infected person is one thing. Here the infected person generally here may use the towels used by the infected person, and the cloths used by the infected person, and the combs that are all used for combing his hair by the infected person. If all these three, like towels, clothes as well as the combs that are all used by the infected person, without disinfecting them, then a healthy person when you use, then generally the disease causing actually the pathogen it get transfers, right? Towels, clothes as well as here the combs. These are the things. These are all the mode of the infection, right? And based on here the place or the body part that is affected, this ringworm is here categorized into three different types. Three types of the ringworm here, just based on their parts. Before that, let us see actually the symptoms of the disease. When you get affected by this one, you do exhibit certain kind of symptoms. Dry scaly lesions or appear on the various parts of your body. The dry scaly lesions, here the lesions means the wounds or appear. Then what are the various parts of the body on which these dry scaly lesions are actually appears? The first and foremost thing is your skin is one thing. Thereafter, there you can see the nails will be get affected, right, is one thing. And along with that, you can see even the scalp of the body, that means the hair, the skin present on the cranium is known as the scalp. These three parts will be get affect or infect by this here the fungi. And next to this, then the intense itching sensation. Wherever these dry scaly lesions are present, there you can find out the intense severe itching sensation will be experienced by the infected person, right? So this is one more important symptoms. These two are actually the major symptoms of this disease. And next one here, where or in which condition generally promote the growth of these fungi. There we studied actually in the first PU when we study about biological classification. There we study here one group, that fungi. There we studied that the comfortable environmental condition for growth of the fungi. The two important conditions are there. One is the heat as well as the moisture. These two conditions, when they are available, it promotes the growth of the fungi. This point to be noted. One thing, the heat, and whereas the second one is the moisture. It promotes the growth of the fungi. It's an important thing, right? And next to this, when you see, and this generally promotes the growth in the skin folds. There you can see the skin folds in the different regions of our body. There in the elbow region you can see, in the neck regions you can see, even over here the knee place, knee area, and groin region, just below the waist, whatever the area is there, that we call it as groin region. So the skin folds naturally occurs in groin region, right? Even between the toes also you can see the skin folds. It naturally here the promotes the temperature, increase the temperature, as well as the moisture conditions are maintained in that, so that these two parts are actually have got lot of chances for getting this infection. Clear? That is one thing. And next to this, as I said just now, that here the types of the tinea based on the part that affects, right? We will see how it is here divided into different types. So among them, there you can find out Tenia pedis is one important here variety of this ringworm, that is known as Tenia pedis. Pedis, that you know very well. Here pedestrian, the person who walk on his foot, are known as pedestrians. The pedal on which actually you do keep your foot, and here you do ride the cycle actually. So here what I'd like to tell you with these examples, the pedis, it represents your foot, right? So this kind of ringworm, it attack your foot, hence we call it as even athlete's foot also, and that disease is actually known as Tenia pedis. The Tenia pedis is known as athlete's foot, and effective part in your body in this case is nothing but the foot of a person. So based on this part, the name of the ringworm is given as Tenia pedis. Important bit related to this is, it is in general known as athlete's foot, right? Whereas Tenia capitis is one thing. You know, where do you wear the cap on your body? Generally we do wear to your head, and the skin that covers the head, where you wear or where you cover your head with a cap, is known as a scalp. Clear? So if at all your hair is infected, right, in that case such a kind of ringworm is known as Tenia capitis. That means the scalp region of your head will be naturally infected in this case, hence the name is assigned to that, like Tenia capitis, right? And thereafter Tenia barbae, you know, the beard in the man, right? So this is the area where the beard it grows, and the mustache also. So if at all this ringworm, it occurs on your beard, face and the neck, so when these three parts are get actually infected, in such a cases, this ringworm is known as Tenia barbae, means a beard. It's an important thing. Tenia barbae. In which case, here which parts will be get affected because of this virus, this fungus? Is the beard is one thing, the face as well as the neck of the person along with the beard. In that case we do call it as barbae, right? And next here, next to that, Tenia cruris. Tenia cruris is a one more important thing, the last one. Then which parts will be get affected in this case? Your groin region is one thing, and here next one is perineum. Groin region and perineum, these two are actually the parts. Groin region, I said here, nothing but the below the waist, there you can see here, and that area, and perineum that we studied when I explained about a reproductive system, right? So it is the place present in between the vaginal opening as well as the anus, right? And just above the anus you can happen to see this perineum. These two are the parts will be affected. In that case we call that ringworm or Tenia as here Tenia cruris is the type, right? These are all the types of the Tenia based on the parts that are all affected by this fungus. And what will be the treatment for this, on the prevention for this? And prevention for this actually here includes, as I just now here said, that this is a one which occurs to us just whenever we come into contact with a soil. So I don't mean to say that don't go and come into contact with a soil, but because it is a highly impossible task. Then what you need to do, whenever you play in the soil, whenever you work in the soil, then when you come back, you wash your hands and here legs thoroughly with the disinfectants. It's one of the important prevention. Whereas when you notice a person is infected with this actually this ringworm, you better isolate the person, one thing, or else the things that are all used or the belongings of the person must be disinfectant. They should not be get used by any other healthy person. Just like the cloths and here the towels and even the combs that are used by an infected person should not be used by any other healthy person, right? So this is one thing here which helps us for prevention of the disease or the prophylaxis methods of this disease. Then what about the treatment for this? And there is a treatment carries out in two different ways. One is taking the medicine orally, and the second one is here smearing that here the paste on the lesions where it occurs actually. Then which is the drug that we take orally in this case? Let us see now. Here this is known as griseofulvin is a drug. Griseofulvin is the name of the drug which we take orally, right? That is one thing. Thereafter, you can see miconazole is another drug that we take topically. Topically in the sense on the top of our skin. That means where the infection it occurs, there we smear. Actually, this apply this paste. That paste is miconazole is one thing. Topically that you apply, whereas griseofulvin that we take orally. So by taking these two types of drugs, actually on the suggestion of a practiced physician, so that we can cure this fungus, right? Fungal disease, that is a ringworm. Clear? So this is the detailed information regarding the fungal disease, that is a ringworm or the Tenia. So as of now, so far, so I explained detailedly about various types of the common human diseases, and that are all caused by the various types of pathogens, right? And when you study about each and every disease, there I said about the prevention methods for each and every disease, and even the treatment for even the each and every disease, but it is specific to each and every diseases. But now I'd like to concentrate on the common prophylaxis methods. So by using these here methods, generally that helps us for protecting ourselves from the various kind of infections, right? The measures need to be taken in order to protect ourselves from the various types of diseases, right? About that part I'd like to concentrate now, right? These are all the common for all the varieties of the diseases. Clear? And first and foremost thing here, maintenance of personal hygienic conditions is an important thing. Then what does that mean? Here, taking bath here regularly, cleaning the body regularly is one thing, and wearing the clothes which are all here get washed thoroughly and here dried in the sunlight, it is one thing. Taking the clean food and water and vegetables and fruits also. So this is one more thing. So by maintaining such a kind of personal hygienic conditions and by consuming here the clean food and water and vegetables and fruits, generally here that makes us be healthy is one thing. So if you alone maintain your personal hygienic conditions, is it enough? Definitely not. So being as a social animal, the human being will interact with many people in the society, and he will visit the many places in the society also. So that the public places also must be maintained the hygienic conditions. The public places, it includes the railway stations, bus stands, right? And even the cinema halls, the shopping malls that you visit, and the market that you do go. About all the places are known as the public places. There you should maintain the hygienic conditions so that the spreading of the disease can be here prevented, can be get stopped. And that too here, disposal of the waste materials, right? So whatever the waste materials are get produced in our house, in our day-to-day activities, they must be disposed properly is one important thing. Thereafter, discarding actually the fecal matter, going for the toilets. So that here, the closed septic tank toilets only must be used. So when you do all these things, generally it helps for here prevention of certain kind of diseases. Like here, see that these measures helps to us for prevention of certain kind of disease, like here the typhoid. I said the typhoid is caused by the contaminated food and water, right? So when you maintain these kind of measures, helps for us for prevention of the disease like typhoid, amoebiasis and ascariasis. These are the three types of diseases can be prevented by following the above mentioned here measures. One thing. And next to this, when you see, better you avoid the contact with an infected person and the belongings of the infected person. Because some of the diseases are there which can get transmitted because of the direct contact with an infected person or the things that are all used by the infected person. So that is the reason why when you happen to notice so-and-so person has got the infection of the disease, so-and-so disease, better you avoid the contact here with that infected person and even the belongings of the infected person also. When you do so, certain kind of diseases like a common cold and pneumonia, these two types of diseases can be prevented from spreading. Common cold is one thing, thereafter the pneumonia. By following these above mentioned here, the precautions, we can avoid these two types of diseases. Clear is one thing. And next to this, here you have to follow some other prevention methods. Let us see what they are all. See this. Some of the diseases are get transmitted by the vectors. Vector means, I already explained, it is an organism which gets spread the disease from infected person to the healthy person. There we study about vector in case of malaria, vector in case of filaria, chikungunya, dengue. In all these cases, the mosquitoes act like a vectors. In some of the cases like cockroaches, houseflies and certain kind of bugs also there, which can get transmits the disease from the infected person to the healthy one. Clear? Then how do you control or eliminate these vectors? And here, how do you eliminate the place where these vectors are naturally breeds? So by doing so, actually, diseases that get transmitted by the vectors can be prevented. Let us see what they're all. And first and foremost important thing, avoid the stagnant water in and around your house. This is a very important point. The stagnation of water should not be, because stagnant water is the breeding place of the mosquitoes, many varieties of the vectors. So if the water is available, this is actually the season, monsoon season, where the rains very frequently occur, so that water will be get locked. Clear? So if the water is get allowed, these mosquitoes will breed comfortably on that and increase its population, so that they attack on us, bite and here infects us. So that you have to make sure that the stagnant water should not be in and around your house. One important thing. And here you have to regularly replace or clean the water coolers present in your house. Actually during the summer season, so in order to here protect ourselves from the scorching heat, the scorching sun and heat, actually we do go for the air conditions and water coolers also. I'm not talking about the air conditions, but here the point is the water coolers. So in case of water coolers, generally we do pour the water. The water is where it get locked at its bottom. So that too, the air coolers we are placing in our house itself. If such a water is available, comfortably the mosquitoes will breed on, so that they do increase in their number, since they are all here breeding in our house itself, so that definitely they bite us and they may cause infections in us. So that repeatedly the water present in your water cooler must be here changed. That is one thing. Cleaning and regular here changing of the water from your household coolers is one important thing. And next to this, use the mosquito nets. It's a very important, and here the cheapest method that protects yourself. Of course, one method is eradication, and here killing the population of the mosquitoes is one thing. And second thing, protecting yourselves from the bites of the mosquitoes. For that, we are following the varieties of the methods. Using the mosquito repellents like all outs, good nights and all these things that we are all using. Even the various types of agarbattis also here, they are all available to us in order to avoid these mosquitoes. And even here among all of them, using the mosquito nets during night time is the best and cheapest method of protecting ourselves from the bites of the mosquito is one important thing. And next to that, introducing certain kind of fishes like gambusia. I said the gambusia is one thing. Apart from that, duck, the bird, if it is released into the stagnant water, and even you can release an insect here like a dragonfly. So by releasing this dragonfly and even the gambusia, right, and into the stagnant water, generally they do feed on the mosquito larvae, so that their population will get eliminated because of this task. One thing. And next one here, spraying the insecticides. Various types of insecticides that we already studied, DDT and BHC, and they are all the varieties of the insecticides. When you spray, generally they will be killed, so the population can be reduced greatly because of this, right? This is one more important thing. And next one here, spraying here certain kind of the oils like kerosene oil and pyrethrum oil also. Kerosene and pyrethrum oil also, when we spray on a stagnant water, then what happens during that time? This oil will not be get to dissolve within the water. It forms a layer on the surface of the water. So when it forms a layer on surface of water, it detaches the connection of air that come into contact with the water, so that the atmospheric air oxygen will not be get dissolved in the water, and that is also not available to these larval and pupal stages. And an interesting point related to this, though they are living within the water, but they do here respire with the help of the atmospheric air, the larval stage of the mosquitoes. So since this layer is forming on the water and it is not allowing the air to come into contact with the larva and pupa, so that they will die because of here suffocation. So that spraying such a kind of oils also helps to us, is one thing. And next thing here, generally the gateways to the insects like mosquitoes into our house are nothing but the doors as well as the windows. So actually, if they're all here provided with a mosquito nets, meshes, so that the mosquitoes will not enter in our house, is a one important thing. So mosquitoes are naturally nocturnal animals, so they do enter in our house, so during the evening time, and they do remain in the house throughout the night. But there are certain kind of mosquitoes are there like Aedes and all, they do active during daytime and bite us. So this is an interesting point. So in order to restrict the entry of these vectors into our house, if your windows and doors are here provided with a mosquito mesh or the nets, so they prevent the entry of these mosquitoes, and that helps us from the bites of, that protects us from the bites of these mosquitoes. That is one more important thing. And next one here, when you follow all these measures, it helps for protecting ourselves from the various types of diseases like malaria, right? This is caused by a female Anopheles mosquito. Filariasis, female Culex mosquito. Dengue, there we have dengue, Aedes, chikungunya is also Aedes here, a disease. So these are all the 4 varieties of diseases here that can be prevented by following all the measures that I mentioned here on the board. Clear? Right. Then what are some other methods are available to us? Let us see now here in order to prevent the spreading of the disease. Clear? Right, and this is the actually the very good here important prevention methods, taking off the vaccination and immunization. So as you know that here old age statement that prevention is better than the cure, so that by taking these vaccinations as well as the immunizations, you can avoid here many deadly diseases, is the best method. Right, and actually such a kind of deadly disease here or can be here prevented, or the smallpox is one thing. Thereafter the polio is also there, for which actually the vaccination is available to us. And even diphtheria is also there. Diphtheria, there we have a triple antigen DPT. So diphtheria can be here prevented by taking the vaccination. The pneumonia is one thing, thereafter the tetanus. Right, so all these are the diseases which are deadly diseases, can be prevented by taking the vaccination and immunization, is one thing. And next one, apart from that, there because of advancement it made in the biotechnology, here variety of antibiotics are available nowadays. So by taking the different kind of here antibiotics helps to us for curing the different types of infectious diseases. Not only that, various types of drugs also available to us. That means the medicines are available to us. By making use of these other drugs, various types of drugs as well as the antibiotics, here we can cure many infectious diseases. So many infectious diseases will be get cured. So these are all about the preventive measures that you need to take in order to prevent the variety of diseases. So dear students, so far we studied about various types of common human diseases, right, and that are all caused by the variety of the pathogens, right, and the detailed information we made on each and everything, and even all the common prevention methods also here I explained in a detailed way. So with this I do conclude here the common human diseases concept. So in the coming classes, forthcoming classes,